Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. We're going to check in on the cryptocurrency space. Thanks for sharing your Friday time with me. I'm going to talk about a bonk trade that I recently entered and going to check in on the cryptos, stocks, and of course Bitcoin, Ethereum, some of the lead bulls, some of the lead bears. Let's go. So, first things first. As we know, I've been talking about recently, hopefully you've seen it, the sucker punch, right? So the big flush was the sucker punch where longs were liquidated. Everybody got reminded, oh yeah, we can drop 5% in a day. And that happens again when just bulls or bears get overly confident and complacent. And so the sucker punch happens, then the bulls are ready to fight after the sucker punch. And that's now the bounce that we've seen over the last few days is the bulls responding to that drop. Appreciate the likes and the shares. So now the question is, the most likely scenario is a daily lower high. Just because of that, the size of that pullback. You know, we can bounce 10% and form a daily lower high. So we're looking for that daily lower high, and it's potentially shaping up. Right now, we're very sideways. We've got 2 daily inside bars in a row. If they break bear, then the daily lower high is set. And the big question into tomorrow, or I should say into next week, is can the bears confirm the first daily downtrend in a couple of months by breaking the sucker punch low? So for all individual coins, that low of that flush is a pretty important support level to be watching for the names that are still holding it, which is the vast majority of names. So if we don't break that low, simple statement, the bulls keep absolute complete control. They don't have anything to worry about whatsoever. If we do break that support level, we zoom out, we look for a weekly higher low, and my target will be weekly EMA 12 support, which will be right around 38,000. We're definitely going to watch the 38,000 level first. A lot of people talking about it, as they should be, because it was previous tough resistance, and we'll look for it to act as support on an initial back test. So what you want to see if you're an altcoin bull, we know recently the pattern has been altcoins, should say weekends are for altcoin bulls. And that's when Bitcoin trades sideways and the altcoins get rotation and the dominance chart drops. And so that's possible to set up this weekend where, you know, if we just tighten up here and trade sideways on the daily for the next couple of days, then if the dominance keeps dropping, altcoin bulls keep running the show. And so we'll see how this inside bar breaks, probably tomorrow. At the moment, zooming in, we have a bounce attempt underway from oversold conditions. An hourly lower high is the most likely result of that bounce. It was a nice setup in the sense that we had hourly RSI just getting oversold, but the 30-minute was real beat up. The 15-minute was in the teens. The 5-minute was in the teens. And so leading to a short-term bounce. And so the big question in the short term is, can we bounce significantly enough to confirm an hourly uptrend and tighten up that daily inside bar and remain within that daily inside bar? Or do we keep pulling back to confirm that daily lower high? And we'll get that information over the next 12 hours or so. The dominance chart is dropping. We had the weekly bull flag confirmed with 0 follow through, and the dominance chart has been consistently dropping over the last week and a half. And so again, what we want to see is that continue to happen over the weekend if that means that the altcoin bulls are playing around again. And it's always nice on the weekend when the altcoin bulls are playing around because that means they're trading opportunity. And we're coming from a period where weekends were dead and there was nothing to do on the weekends. But obviously that has not been the case over the last 2 months. The crypto stocks. MARA looks great. Relative strength, right? So MARA is at its high. Bitcoin is not at its high. Right now, Bitcoin needs another 5% to get back, more than that, 6, 7% to get back to the high. So MARA bulls loving where they are positioned comparative to Bitcoin. Hey, Atticus gave a tip. Thanks. Appreciate that. I will pay that forward to someone who needs it out on the cold on the street. So MARA, strong close. We got an hour and a half left in the trading day. Hourly uptrend is our guide. And MARA bulls are looking back to 1988 as a very key level because if we get over 1988, we could say, hey, we're at the highest level that we've seen in 19 months, which is certainly a significant statement. What I would love to see, Sweetie Pants the dog, what I would love to see is a rejection and a weekly bull flag. I mean, if I could, And this is important to do as traders. You know, we want to paint the ideal scenarios of what we want to see. We don't want to attach ourselves to them and say this is going to happen, but I can look at this and say this is what I would want to happen. This is, and then I'll see if the trade comes to me or not, which means I would go aggressive if I lay out a scenario exactly what I want to happen and it shapes up. So I would love to see MARA reject from 1988 and form a weekly bull flag while Bitcoin sees weekly consolidation, holds 38,000 on a back test, and forms a weekly bull flag. I think that would build up the pressure a lot. You know, some bears would short top fish MARA against resistance and just build up the pressure for a cup and handle. So I'm not saying we're going to get that, but I know that I'm watching for that to potentially shape up because I would like for that to take shape. We'll see if we get it or not. But definitely trading in both directions today. You know, I longed MARA this morning on this bottom fish. It was a really nice low risk trade. You know, make an entry right above the low of the day, put a stop at 16.99. But I left money on the table because I took my profit here, a little bit, you know, right here. And I shorted Riot. And the reason I shorted Riot was looking for this lower high. That went well, but I didn't stay active enough. And this is where I'm just doing a little quick trade review here. I have a lot of open long positions in my stock account, and I don't have much bear exposure. I've taken a little bit of hedging positions just because of euphoria the last couple of days. And so I wanted to hold on to this Riot short with a break-even stop. You know, I short it, I take partial profit on the drop, and a break-even stop over the high of the day, saying, well, if the market pulls back, I want some more bear exposure, and, you know, Riot would likely drop as well. In hindsight, if I covered for the 5-minute higher low, which was the most likely scenario, and then re-entered Riot, it would have been perfect execution on all fronts, or I should say re-entered MARA. Perfect execution on all fronts, and a really nice win, but didn't perform perfectly. So my mistake was leaving a little bit of money on the table and trying to get too fancy, just being too zoomed in to the 5-minute time frame versus, you know, letting the very strong daily chart for MARA try and have me hold a position for that. So anyways, just a quick little review there, but overall, MARA bulls perfectly fine, really strong. Riot a little bit weaker, but still knocking on the door of resistance. And Coin, daily consolidation underway. You know, there's a headline today that Coin, the SEC, you know, denied the request for clear rules or something like that, a petition. No major impact, but consolidation underway. Again, we're going to watch for first hourly oversold conditions. And shout out, had a really nice post on Twitter for those of you that have been following. And we had this individual, Kyle, sharing an in-depth post all about the back burner, how he used it on Coin, how it has been beneficial. And so we're watching Coin to potentially give us another hourly oversold drop, looking for a daily higher low, because the last 2 times it has happened have been the times to enter. And eventually that's going to stop. We know it doesn't work forever, right? There will be a time where hourly oversold does not mark the daily higher low, but we're going to keep looking for it as long as it keeps happening. So Coin the weakest today, and if we look at Riot divided, or MARA divided by Riot, we can see that MARA has been gaining relative strength against Riot significantly over the last month. And we are currently at the strongest that MARA has been compared to Riot in the last 5 months. So as long as this chart looks like this, I focus on MARA long and Riot short, which is exactly what I did today on the 5-minute time frame. So that's one of the ways that I use this chart to help determine who do I look at long, who do I look at short. But overall, bulls hanging on, looking just fine, and that's only going to change if Bitcoin confirms the daily downtrend, in my opinion. ETH is weaker. That's been the case for a long time. The daily lower high is already set. Just like weekly consolidation is already underway for ETH, the daily lower high is already set. So lower high is now 23.32, key resistance. Now we're looking for a higher low compared to 21.27. Again, when you see volatility in both directions, significant volatility, scout the equilibrium. It's the most common pattern in trading, and it's the reason that I'm remaining open. Don't come at me with pitchforks. I'm remaining open to the possibility that Bitcoin forms a long-term equilibrium through 2024 and does not hit an all-time high. I know that sounds crazy, but so many times the market gives us the thing that is least expected from the most people. I'm just open to it. That's all I'm saying. So ETH, daily equilibrium, going to scout a higher low, compared to 21.27, and anticipating that we're going to tighten up through the weekend on this range. And again, ETH BTC, it's so nice to, I've just been saying the same thing for ETH BTC for weeks. I don't even have to update any analysis. If this 12-hour downtrend resistance is still intact, nothing changes. I can tweak it a little bit. I probably had it right here. So we'll just tweak it a little bit. But we have to see the bulls prove something on the daily chart, which they have not done at any point. They've had a couple big days. We've got to see if the bulls are going to prove to us that ETH is the place to be. Instead of Bitcoin, we need this 12-hour inverse head and shoulders to confirm to get over this downtrending resistance line. And we've got to break that 0.055 level to then see a shift, bigger picture. Again, it's worth watching for. Just don't give the bulls any benefit of the doubt. Make them prove it to you because they have not proven anything to us on this chart for a significant period of time. All right, so the bonk trade. Isn't that chasing? Why am I entering bonk long up here? Well, because there's a very clear risk to reward trade on the hourly. It's an hourly equilibrium. I saw this pullback. This does not look like a blow off top to me. I see this daily chart. I look for the top to be set on a blow off top. And a blow off top is when you shoot up and then you give a ton of it back with significant retracement. Here, it's an hourly high or low. Big pullback. I mean, it's very volatile, obviously, in both directions. 27% pullback very quickly in 3 hours. But it's an hourly high or low and then an hourly low or high. So I see this pullback this morning and I say, hey, bonk's on Coinbase now. Cool. I can trade it. And I say, all right, well, if I make an entry for an hourly high or low and I stick my stop under 25,000, I'm not going to talk in decimal points. What is it? 25,000, 1, 2, 3, 250,000, whatever. If I stick a stop under that level, I hate entering orders with these zeros and placing limit orders and stops. I have to triple check to make sure I didn't miss a decimal point. I really dislike it, but made the trade, enter on consolidation, put the stop under the low. I know exactly it's a smaller position because the percentage volatility is more significant. So I know exactly what my risk is. I'm risking about 4 to 5% of my profit from the last 2 days of really bullish stock market action. And I'm giving it a chance for this to be a 4-hour bull flag for one more leg up. And again, it's just knowing what my risk is. And so then we set an hourly high or low, and I move my stop up, and now I've got even less risk. So my entry was, I believe, right around just under 290,000. We're pretty much right where we're at. And I'm viewing this as a high, low, lower high, higher low. Wouldn't be surprised to fail resistance of 320,000 right here and just have to hold that hourly high or low. If we lose the hourly uptrend, I'll stop out with a small acceptable loss. And I took this trade because I like the potential reward comparative to the potential risk. The reward is a new high in blue sky breakout, which is a lot more than the potential risk. If I'm risking, let's see, 29 to 26.5, 2.5, the reward is 29 to 39.10. So 4-to-1 risk reward. And again, could very easily stop out. I don't have high conviction this is going to break bull, but just giving myself a shot. And congrats to all the bulls that have been on bonk, because definitely getting into a position before the listing surge is the way to go. Other names, ICP lead bull. Again, backburners absolutely on watch here. Hourly time frame. Trying for a bull flag. So at this point, when's the last time we've seen 5-minute oversold? It's been a long time. So we're going to watch for 5-minute oversold. We'll watch for 15-minute oversold. We'll watch for hourly oversold. But clearly ICP is a lead bull recently. And a very nice, significant high volume follow through over the last 3 days. Sol, potential rising wedge. But I also said that about RNDR. I looked at the 12-hour for RNDR. I said, want to be a little bit cautious just because we're getting bull exhaustion. We know that these rising wedges can break bull in this kind of market environment. But, and then I said, what did I say? Well, as long as we hold 386, you don't have anything to worry about. So you can just stick a stop under that level. If that level holds, it's not a rising wedge. And then, of course, we get a significant leg up, and it's not a rising wedge. And so it's almost like, we're in a strong enough bull market to be scouting rising wedges to look for potential bull breaks, which generally is the opposite of what you want to be doing. But again, we're in a very strong bull market. So we're looking for a 12-hour high or low on RNDR on this current pullback. But I look at Sol and I say the same thing. It's a potential hourly or potential 12-hour rising wedge, but, well, maybe not even on the, I don't have a good pinching support line. It's more of a channel. So I take that back. I can't draw the pinching required for that. Yeah, let's just stick with the channel. Just a clear channel guide on the 12-hour. If we reject here, we're going to watch to see if we can hold support. So whenever I find a channel like this, I don't associate any directional bias. I just watch for potential shorts at resistance and potential longs off support. And I don't short crypto. I'm just speaking in general. But let's keep an eye on this uptrending support line on Sol. As far as some of the names that are more beat up, Algo. So Algo, we're looking for first hourly oversold conditions. If we get it, has to be a daily high or low. So we have a bull break of a tightening range with no follow through. That raises a little bit of caution. But again, we can just make the simple statement. If 18.4 is holding, the bulls don't have anything to worry about. And so we'll watch to see, does hourly oversold mark a daily high or low holding 18.4? If you're making entries, again, just as my bonk example, it's hard to take myself seriously talking about bonk, but if that's an example for anything, it's if you're going to look to enter names that have run significantly, just have a nearby stop and just, calculate your position size based on, okay, if this stop breaks, I will lose X amount of dollars, and this is an acceptable amount of risk. If it's not acceptable, use a smaller position size. Right now, my bonk position is 20% of what I would take on a Bitcoin trade because it's, 5 times plus more volatile, more than that. So that's the way I trade stocks as well. If something is more volatile, unless I have really high conviction, my position size is going to be a bit smaller to account for that volatility. And same thing with swing trading. If my stop is 5% away, if I'm day trading, my stop is 0.5% away. If I'm swinging and my stop is 5% away, my position size has to be much smaller to allocate for that extra added risk of the level being far away. OP, same thing, watching for a daily high or low. We did just hit hourly oversold. 211 is a base of support that needs to hold. So there are names where we're scouting daily high or lows. DOT is going to be looking for a daily high or low. Watch that daily EMA 12. It's been the time to enter the last 2 times we've seen it. Just doing a quick rundown here. What about bears? There are bears setups here. I would suggest having, obviously a lot of us have long exposure, but taking on some protection if you're able to, just some hedges, because names like Theta, Doge, all these names, Sand, daily lower high is the most likely scenario. And again, the question is, can we confirm the daily downtrend into weekly consolidation? But we're potentially shaping up daily lower highs in a lot of places. Mana, Link, the size of the pullback and the size of the bounce, we're scouting daily lower highs. Not everywhere, but there are plenty of places. And so again, what's that approach? That approach is, let's say, Mana. So I know that in an ideal world, I'd like to see Mana see a bounce on the 4-hour, and I short that 4-hour lower high. And my mindset is, this is either the daily lower high or I'm wrong. So the stop level that I use is 5168 with a little bit of wiggle room. And I don't want to enter short here because we could hold this support level and see a bounce. We're still in a 4-hour, we could still set a 4-hour high or low. So again, I can lay out the game plan. If this trade is going to come to me, I scout the 4-hour lower high, I stick my stop over the high because that's my invalidation point, where if that level breaks, then nope, that's not the daily lower high, you were wrong. And then we have to confirm a 4-hour downtrend to confirm, yep, that is the daily lower high, and then we look back at 45 support. So again, that's definitely a bit more advanced trading. If you're in your first year, you're just focusing on the long side right now, and that's fine. But, you know, if this is your second or third cycle in crypto, if you've been trading for 4+ years, having these strategies of hedging and looking in both directions at the same time in different names, that's where you level up a little bit as far as getting a little bit more complex, but it also allows for a lot better sleeping at night, knowing that even if we do pull back into weekly consolidation, you're not, you know, overly exposed to taking that on the chin. All right. 78 likes. Let's get that to 100, please. I'm reading the chat room now. Hello, everyone. Let me know where you're at. We used to do that when we started the streams. I like knowing where in the world or the country you're at. Yeah, coin's still weak. Coin's near its low of the day, while MARA is near its high of the day. Some crazy tricks. I don't really have crazy tricks. Thanks again, Atticus Rex. Is there a reason I prefer to use EMA 12 and 26? Honestly, because I was forced to stare at it when Coinbase GDAX in 2017, that was on their chart and it was default. And I just was forced to watch it as, these levels keep coming into play. These levels are aligning with multiple time frame analysis and backburners. And I brought it over to stocks and said, wow, this works really well with stocks and with my trading strategy. And it has been great for both ever since. I love it. Bitcoin dominance daily head and shoulders. Yep, I would call it a weekly. I like it just a bit more condensed on the weekly time frame. But if it did this, pull back a little bit more, closer to the other neckline, that could happen for sure. There's space for it. Thanks, Kevin Teromi. ADA. So ADA daily consolidation on the verge. We're testing the low of yesterday. If 61 cents breaks, daily consolidation is underway, and we'll look for hourly oversold conditions. When's the last time we saw hourly oversold? It happened fairly recently. So a thing with backburners, I'm most confident if we're straight up on the daily, something like ICP, where we're straight up the last few days, we haven't seen hourly oversold anytime recently, I have more confidence. But I can look at this and say, well, you know, we did hit hourly oversold, and it was a great backburner that resulted in 30% of upside, but we did just hit hourly oversold. Yes, we got continuation, but it's not really a breakout. This is a breakout. You have a lot of confidence in that hourly high or low. Daily stair step, lots of follow through. This is continuation, but we didn't clear the resistance by a ton. It's not a breakout. So does that mean don't trade the hourly oversold bounce? No. It just means don't treat it the same. We have to have different levels of conviction with different setups. And so I would say that the next time we see hourly oversold on ADA, it has less conviction than the last time around. And so what does that mean? Maybe that means I'm a little bit more picky. Maybe that means I start scaling in when the hourly RSI is 27 instead of 30. Maybe it means I use smaller position sizes instead of scaling in, 2 positions. Maybe I only give myself 1 shot, or maybe I use half the capital and break that up into 2 positions. So there are different ways to account for different levels of conviction. But again, it's not the exact same. From a monster breakout where everybody's FOMOing to a break, but not a ton of follow through. And we'll certainly be looking for first 4-hour oversold conditions from here, because that hasn't happened in a very long time, but that's not on the table right now. So keeping an eye out for hourly oversold. Just be aware it's not your ideal conditions. Again, we can lay out what is our ideal setup. And for me, your hourly backburner in this condition on the daily is just not ideal. Could still work, absolutely. Not all gaps get filled. Most gaps get filled, not all gaps get filled. Go to Netflix. This is always my example because I sold a Netflix earnings back in like 2015 or something because it was a giant gap, never went back. Probably this one. Might have even been before that. It was before that. Probably this one, 2013. So here's a gap at $14. Is Netflix ever going to $14? Only if they're bankrupt. We just need to drop $455 to get there. Not all gaps get filled. I lost my place. Do I prefer to enter after candles close? I don't wait for candle closes. In the stock market, I do. You know, daily close, that matters for me. But not in crypto. I've never waited for a candle to close to act in crypto. At least not that I can remember. Not in many years. Utah. Ohio. Ohio just legalized cannabis, huh? So JTO, we got our high, we got our key support, most important level, 254. We held it by 6 pennies. Now we look for a lower high compared to 445 is the most likely scenario. Looks like it's shaping up. Let's zoom into the 4-hour for some more detail. Have we confirmed a 4-hour downtrend? You could say so. You could say this was a quick little higher low, lower high, lower low. So a potential daily lower high is shaping up for a continued tightening range. And we would just be looking to tighten up into potentially next week. It's not officially set yet, but we're watching for it. If the bulls are going to recover from here, they got to do so quickly. And I would need to see an hourly uptrend confirmed back to the bulls. Ideally, bulls want another leg up because at this point, the bounce retracement, well, we did get over 50%. So I would just be viewing this as an equilibrium. Looking for a lower high is most likely compared to 445. There's some signs it's shaping up. And then watching the most important support of 254 because if 254 breaks, that tells us bulls have lost control of this chart. At least in the short term. Then we zoom out and scout a weekly high or low eventually. But that would lose control on the daily if 254 were to break from here. Germany, San Antonio, Quebec, London, Fargo, North Dakota. Is that how they talk? It might be Chicago. HUT. So first thing I want to know, how's HUT compared to MARA? You should be in MARA. But, yeah, it's just... It's one of those things where, you know, one thing I've been saying in my stock market videos is when the market tells you something, believe it. If it keeps showing you something. And this is showing us that HUT is not the place to be as a bull. There are way better places to be as a bull if you are looking at crypto stocks. Just got to be real. Keep it real. You may want HUT to be the one. You may want it to be the winner. But clearly, it's not. And so what do we need for that to change? We need drastic shifts. I mean, we need, right now, MARA is trading right up here compared to here. Somewhere right around here. We need a 100% move to get to where MARA is compared to its last resistance level. So again, it's just, keep it real. I would be focusing on this name to short. If I see any crypto weakness, I look at Riot and HUT to short. If I see any strength, I look at Coin and MARA to go long. And again, that's part of that more advanced trading and technical analysis. And I'm not saying right now. I'm just talking big picture right now. But that's the part of more advanced technical analysis where, you want to long the strongest names in a sector. You want to short the weakest names in a sector. And we use those ratio charts to help us identify who's who. And so we can just make teams, team bull, team bear. They change. Riot was stronger than MARA for a while when MARA was getting hit with its dilution news. But use those ratio charts to put them into teams. If we're strong, I'm focusing on these names long. If we're weak, I'm focusing on these names short. If I didn't know anything else, I didn't know any of that information, and I'm only looking at HUT, what do I need to see? I need to see a confirmed daily uptrend. Whenever we top out, we got to hold the low. We got to break the high. We got to break $13. There's just a lot of work to be done. I mean, we need 30% from here to even start to play catch up. The daily dollar volume, it's not bad, 50 million. That's plenty of volume, but again, it's just not there. It's just not comparable. And so, well, does that mean look for laggards? It can, but again, we have some glaring bulls out there. Ontario, Michigan, Pakistan, Alabama, England, Toronto. A lot of Michigan in the house. UK, Canada, Brantford, no idea where that is. Colorado, Indy. Guy is shorting Bitcoin. What's my percent bias for a daily break with follow through for an equilibrium? A daily break with follow through. So a daily lower high being the most likely scenario is the more probable scenario for me. Now, whether we're going to break daily support and confirm the daily downtrend, that's definitely a more tricky hurdle. So what I would want to do, because I don't have a ton of confidence that we're going to break that support, is depending on where your entry was, I would want, my ideal positioning is getting risk-free where I can stick a stop over 43.5 thousand. Ideally, if I short at 42.5, I'd cover half at 41.5, and I just stick my stop over the high. And if the bulls keep control, I don't lose $1. And if the bears prove it, then I have a nice win. That's my style of trading to position for risk-free, which is what I did with Riot today. I was wrong to short Riot this morning. I was wrong to hold my Riot short this morning, and I stopped out and didn't lose anything. I love being wrong and not losing anything, because I'm wrong all the time as a trader. Every week I'm wrong a minimum of a half dozen times. Idaho. All right, just a couple more here. It's Friday afternoon. Got to get outside and dig in a creek. Got some high rains that washed up my creek bed. Matic. So Matic daily lower high is set. It's officially set. So now 9028 is key resistance. And again, heading into this weekend and into the start of next week, can we hold the sucker punch low? 811. If that breaks, the daily downtrend confirms. We zoom out, and the weekly just keeps tightening up. But it's one of the names where the daily lower high is already set. So it's a little bit weaker than Bitcoin. Hourly looks like falling wedge attempt. Bulls would love for this to be a falling wedge. Watch that. If that breaks bull, we zoom out. We look for a 4-hour or 12-hour, probably 12-hour. Look for a 12-hour lower high. I mean, this is a 12-hour equilibrium where we can just call this high, low, lower high, higher low, double top. So this is how longer term multiple time frame analysis works. I look at this, my brain picks out equilibriums whenever I look at a chart because it's the most common pattern. It's what I'm trained to do. And I can say, okay, I can see how this could shape up. If we hold 8268, it's a 12-hour higher low for a continued equilibrium through the weekend. Okay, if a 12-hour higher low is going to form, what has to happen? I then zoom in and look for that pattern and say, okay, I see a bullish pattern trying to form. If this hourly falling wedge breaks bull, that's the 12-hour higher low being set. That confirms the thesis of a 12-hour higher low and the continued equilibrium. So bulls need to clear 8634 and then eventually 8718 for that 12-hour higher low to be set. And you see how I just did that? Because when I looked at the daily, I didn't have those details. I look at the daily and say, yeah, I mean, watch to see if the bears can follow through. Then I go to the 12-hour and say, well, okay, we can easily set that 12-hour high or low and tighten up all weekend. It's just gaining more information and more details with each time frame that you look at. New Zealand. People say don't overtrade. How many trades a day is overtrading? Number one is it working? If you're taking 15 trades a day, but you're killing it, keep doing it. Don't change a thing. If you're frustrated and losing, you're overtrading. It changes. It changes with market environments and conditions, which are important to recognize, shifting market environments. And it also changes with, when I was 100% all in trading crypto, I was taking easily 15 times as many trades as I'm currently taking. And a lot of that is personal choice. I don't want to be on the computer past a certain hour. I don't want to be on the computer all weekend. And so the money's not worth it to me to put in that many hours. If I were just learning, I understand that drive and that motivation because I definitely had it and the obsession. And so that's different. And it's putting in reps. And it's definitely good practice to put in those reps. So there is no clear answer, but your results dictate things. And again, if you're not seeing the results that you want, absolutely slow down your trading. And if you are seeing the results that you want, maybe turn it up a little bit if things are going really well and you're in the zone. Philip likes the back burner. What strategy is best in a downtrend if you like the back burners? Here's the beauty. They work in both directions. In a bear market, back burners are just as helpful for entering shorts. If I'm looking, it's just the exact opposite. If I'm looking for an hourly lower high, I scout 5-minute hitting first overbought conditions. We did it a good bit in the bear market of 2022 stocks. If I'm looking for a daily lower high, I scout hourly overbought. It's not enough for me to enter a trade, but that's one big piece of the puzzle. Hourly RSI gets overbought in a daily downtrend. It's got to be a clear daily downtrend. Daily, weekly downtrend. I scout a daily bounces underway. I scout hourly overbought to begin looking for that short for the daily lower high. I have an example in my head. It just recently happened. I forget where. Let's take a look at oil, because oil's been in a downtrend. So daily, weekly downtrend for a while. Look at this 4-hour overbought in this downtrend. Boom, right on the top. Nailed it. 15% pullback. Boom, right at the top. 4-hour overbought. Leading to consolidation each time. Right at the top. Works in the same way. You just got to have a strong trending market. To be looking for a back burner in either direction, got to have the strong trending market. All right. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you for the likes and the shares. The more interaction I get from you, the more motivated I am to make more content. I like helping people. If you tell me that I helped you, I'll do it more. Hope you have a great weekend. Let's keep a close eye on that bonk hourly equilibrium and keep an eye on the tightening daily Bitcoin chart. We'll see you next time.